This is Think Out Loud on OPB. I'm Dave Miller. The Portland guitarist Marisa Anderson has made a national name for herself with her deeply personal interpretations of the tangled roots of American music. For her latest album, her source material came from much further away, countries like Afghanistan, Vietnam, Cambodia, Syria. The album is called The Anthology of Un-American Folk Music, Volume 1. It's made up of songs from countries that the U.S. has been in conflict with over the course of Anderson's lifetime. Marisa Anderson joins me now. It's great to have you back on the show. Something like 13 years after your first time.
It's great to be here again. Thank you.
I'm so used to having guests holding guitars start right in with a song, but I want to do something different today in honor of your new album. I want to hear 30 seconds or so of a track that was recorded 50-something years ago in Pakistan. What did we just hear?
Well, that is a recording of the Sabri brothers. It's from 1968, and it's Pakistani Qawwali music. And the Sabri brothers are pretty prominent Qawwali musicians going back generations.
Can we hear your version of the song that we just heard? That's my guest, Marisa Anderson, playing the song Hamd from her new album. It's called The Anthology of Un-American Folk Music. Where did you hear that original track that we heard the first time?
Well, the first time I heard it, I was in a residency with the final personal record collection of Harry Smith, who in 1952 made the Anthology of American Folk Music, which went on to change the face of American music. And I had the opportunity to spend 9 days with his record collection, and I was given permission to download whatever I wanted. And like you mentioned earlier, I chose to download music that was from countries that the U.S. has been in conflict with during my lifetime. So these Southeast Asia, Soviet Union, and the Arabic and Islamic world, that was the music that I spent time with. And that's where I first heard that song.
I want to come back to that organizing principle and the reason for that, but I'm just curious about the process of going from that original where these whole group of men were singing, I think with one instrument there, how you go from that to you making a kind of orchestra of sound with just your electric guitar. How do you go from the original to your version?
Yeah, well, that source recording is 18 minutes long. So what we heard was just a part of it, and that was a very active part. And so the whole beginning of the piece begins with this solo melismatic vocal line. And so
melismatic?
Yeah, meaning that it's not tonal like a guitar or like a piano or something. It's kind of like glissando would be the closest Western word.
Slides of sound.
Yeah, like in melismatic music, it's not moving from one note to the other note. It's sliding. Yeah. So that big, slow, melismatic intro, or I don't know if it's an intro. I think it's probably a statement of the maqam and of the various things that are in the piece. I transcribed that, not the whole thing, but I transcribed what I could of it, many phrases, and then I developed those phrases into an arrangement that is the first part of the piece that I just played. And then further on in the piece, there is this call and response, right? It's 10 men singing, and there's harmonium, so there's a drone, and there's percussion, and the men are singing some variation on like do 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 da 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 da, and I just built that into a piece that I could play. And one of the things about the tunings I use in the way that I play is that I organize the notes that I'm playing around the notes that I'm letting ring, so that I can get a drone, and so that I can get some dissonance, so that I can get a sense of notes wavering against each other to create this kind of melismatic effect.
As you were listening to this music from Southeast Asia, from the former Soviet Union, from the Middle East, do you think that you would have been hit in the same way if you'd done that 10 or 15 years ago? Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I would have had the listening skills 10 or 15 years ago. Most of this music is not in structural or theoretical formats that are recognizable easily by an ear that is really attuned to the West as my ear. You know, I grew up here. I work in the sort of field of vernacular American music, and that was one of the reasons that I wanted to do this project. Just on to grow what I could hear, to grow my recognition of different forms and different types of scales and different sonorities.
Okay, so let's turn to the un-American piece. What does that word mean to you?
Yeah, it's an interesting word, right? Because on the surface, it just means not American. And so then, of course, it's interesting. Why is that a provocative thing to be un-American? It just means not. But in fact, we have, the House Un-American Activities, and we have taken this phrase un-American and turned it semantically into something that is anti-American. And so I wanted to play with that provocation for sure, as well as the anthology of un-American folk music, anybody that's familiar at all with Harry Smith's work is going to recognize the allusion there, the nod.
Can we hear, we're going to hear another song, your version, but first let's hear a little bit of the original that was your inspiration. This is a violin solo from Syria. It's called Taksim. Can we hear what you did with that? That is Taksim from Marisa Anderson's new album, The Anthology of Un-American Folk Music, Volume 1. You said that as you were listening to these pieces, you wanted to steep yourself in different musical worlds to learn different languages. Having done that, has that changed the way you think about or play traditional American music?
That's a super interesting question. And I'm still very much like in the process with this music. And the easiest response I can have there is, for example, that piece that I just played took me 3 weeks to transcribe and then months to learn. And I would, you have to go deep. And then I would rise up and just like play freely, and like the most American sounding stuff would come out. So the sort of like the equal and opposite reaction, I would say that the way that it has affected my playing is in this reflexive, like just leaning hard into American tropes in some of the newer music that's starting to develop, post this recording. So I feel that in some ways, perhaps the next work I have to do is around home. Yeah.
Oh man, the clock is going too quickly today. Can we hear one more song though?
Yeah.
What are we going to hear now?
This is from Afghanistan, Quadlibet. I don't know how to say it because I've only ever read it. It was collected in 1973 by a researcher from the University of Michigan. He did write down the name of the performer, and when I looked up that performer, I couldn't find any information until I ran it through Google Translate, and it just is the word for old man. So I don't know who did this originally.
That is Marisa Anderson playing the song Quadlibet from her new album. It's called The Anthology of Un-American Folk Music. I could listen to you all day, but there's a minute and 20 seconds left,
Oh,
so I
dear.
have to say goodbye. Do you mind playing us out
I'll play us out,
with
yeah.
one of your own songs as
Yeah.
I talk over it?
Yes.
It's a pleasure
Thanks
having you on the
for
show
having
again.
me.
Thank you. Tomorrow on the show, the 2025 Eaton and Palisades fires in Southern California killed 31 people and destroyed over 16,000 structures. They were also the basis for more than $1 million in online betting on the site Polymarket. We're going to talk about the ethics and the perverse incentives of wildfire betting on the next Think Out Loud. Our production staff includes Malia Fass, Rolia Hernandez, Jamie Carlo, senior producer Allison Frost, and managing producer Shiraz Sadiq. Idrissa Gay is our summer intern, Naleen Silva, and Layla Isbell engineer the show from the Gert Boyle studio. Our technical director is Stephen Cray. Our executive producer is Sage Van Wing. Thanks so much for tuning in to Think Out Loud on OPB and KLCC. I'm Dave Miller. Have a great day.
Think Out Loud is supported by Steve and Jan Oliva, the Rose E. Tucker Charitable Trust, Ray and Marilyn Johnson, the Susan Hammer Fund of Oregon Community Foundation, and the Lang Svingard Family Fund.